Hi, Facebook. Hi, Instagram. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in today. I'm Diana Rachel, author of Urban Magic, A Guide for the City Witch, and the upcoming book, Hex Twisting Counter Magic Spells for the Irritated Witch. So if you get a chance, please pre order Hex Twisting, especially since it looks like there will be some supply chain issues. So order now if you'd like to get it by Christmas. So today I am going to talk to everyone about Mercury retrograde because I am seeing the slowdown and the time slowdown. And well, I am one of those strange people who actually kind of enjoys things slowing down a little bit. For most of the world, this doesn't work so well. So what Mercury retrograde is when Mercury, which is usually a planet that moves east to west around the sun and very rapidly, suddenly appears to slow down and move backwards. And so I checked the dates in Farmer's Almanac because this is like one of my favorite geek resources for a witch. And it looks like this one is going to run, this Mercury retrograde will run from September 27th to October 17th. And Mercury retrograde does happen 2 or 3 times during a year. And usually there's one period where it's 2 or 3 weeks and another period where it's up to 6 weeks. So if you'd like to check, and since I am coming from Elements today for the Instagram crowd, the Magical Almanac, and yes, I do have an article in it. Do not ask me which one it is. I write a lot of these. But there is an astrological calendar in there, so you can stay apprised of when Mercury retrograde is coming. There are also several other sources. One of my favorites is Farmer's Almanac. I'm also very fond of Susan Miller's Astrology Zone, so there are all kinds of ways that you can keep track of when it's coming. So the way Mercury retrograde usually impacts people, and I say this as someone who is something of an astrology skeptic, and I am not so skeptical about Mercury retrograde. I have learned to read that energy and ride that energy because if you don't, it is just going to drag you like the last episode of Xena. So learn about it and learn how to take a step back or go backward with the flow until things are ready to move forwards. So what will happen, and a lot of traditional Western astrologers will tell you, do not sign contracts. Do not have a define the relationship talk. Do not decide to change your curtains or put any really expensive money down. This is not the time to make those changing actions. For example, I waited till I'm outside of that zone to even schedule my next haircut, which there was a long line, so it was fine, but you get the idea. So there's a lot of people going, what the hell do I do? Because our society is basically all cars and computers and talking and communication. So what are you supposed to do? Typically, what you're supposed to do is take a step back and reflect. So I like to use the RE words as my guide. This is a good time to research. Even though it's not a good time to take action on a big decision, it is a very good time to look deeper into it. It is a good time to reflect. It is a really good time to meditate because things are slowed down enough that you can get a little bit more out of going deeper into yourself. One of the things that I did several years ago, and I've been in the process over and over of trying to get it updated, and it's a Mercury retrograde guide, so there's never a good time to do it, but I created a to-do list. So what good things you can do during this time are things like cleaning out your closets, going through your digital files, making sure you have all of your digital backups ready, or if you can do that 2 or 3 weeks before, if you plan that far ahead. I don't know anybody realistically who can anymore, but you get the idea. Go through giveaway clothing, look through for the change in the couch and deposit that in the bank. This is the time to clean out the dust bunnies and just take a little time to dust things off and reset because things are slowed down. So you can look at what condition you want things to be in when life speeds up again. So Mercury retrograde's really a good time to do spiritual work. It's just not a good time to do a lot of super external changes. So yes, RE, it would be a good time to come in and get a reading. It just would not be a good time to act on it. But taking the steps to work towards whatever you learn in that reading, yes, that could be useful. And it may just be a time to go for I could just call it introvert season. It's a time to look around and not talk to people. I love that, but that's me. But these are some of the things that will help is going more internal, fixing things. I mean, some of the stuff, if you were unable to schedule maintenance on your car, the car has probably scheduled it for you by now. And car breakdowns happen a lot, traffic accidents happen a lot. So finding reasons to slow down or to move to something that is not reliant on mercurial energy, on communication and commerce energy, but things where you can slow down and allow things to pull, this works. Now, because our world does not shut down, okay, is there anything you can do to protect any actions you do have to make? Yes, Nikki, thank you for asking. So for people on Instagram, my business partner Nikki is here, so I know you can't see her, but wave hello anyway, she'll feel it. But what you can do is start working with the goddess Iris, so when you do have to do something, Iris is the rainbow goddess. She was the equivalent to Mercury. So Mercury was, winged shoes flying around invisible. Iris was very similar and highly underrated. So invocations to Iris or working with solar energy, invoking the sun, or various sun gods, that is another way of working with it. Or if you really need to, because everything is slower, is pulling up from the underworld. If you do ancestor work, asking your ancestors to help keep things running until things are running normally again. These are all options you have. And I know that there were people that have made things like Mercury Retrograde sprays. I have one, but it's in storage. What I would suggest, so for example, if you work in the service industry or the retail industry and you really count on people coming in, my recommendation is work with the goddess Iris, but also work with things that are Mars ruled and Venus ruled. And here's why: is Mars can be about aggression, but it also is another energy that speeds things up. So if you need money now, if you need a home now, then this is a time. Also during Mercury retrograde is a time to go back and try things again that failed. So if there was something that normally counts in Mercury energy that didn't work for you before, this would be the time to go back and try again and see what could happen. But if you're using things like, for example, I have Jasmine in my aromatherapy locket today. Jasmine is Venusian energy. Almost anything that you traditionally use in love magic also works in money and commerce magic. Combine that with Mars energy, and a lot of you know that, I feel like there's more bars than the female-male polarity, so I don't want to define it that way. But one is more active and one is more receiving. So by combining them, you can create something that is actively receiving, that's going, okay, bring it here, baby, and attract it to you. So this is one way around it when you are trying to work with these things. I will say something else that you can lean into, especially if you need something now, is this is a good time. One of the things we don't talk about a lot with Mercury retrograde is how your exes come back, ex-friends and ex-lovers, and when you've got a little bit of a body count just from age, some of us just lived a while, don't hold it against us, or just because of that body count. But it's also a time when secrets come out, and some of those secrets can be bad, but some of it may be that hidden place you were looking for, or that little bit of extra help that was normally obscured underneath the bureaucratic pile. So again, it's a try things again. It's a look again time. It's a let's dig in and do this thing that I wanted to do before, or the thing that you don't normally have time to do, to slow down or meditate, or just give yourself that bubble of space, because time does feel like it moves slower during Mercury retrograde, and just use that. So that's what I've got. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. And so people know, I do have a TikTok with a super basic witchcraft series. My handle is spooncherry01. For those that are interested, I am Diana Rachel. I'm author of Urban Magic, A Guide for the City Witch, and Hex Twisting Counter Magic Spells for the Irritated Witch. So if you are able to pre-order, wonderful. I am also available at Elements today until 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you still have a few hours that you can come in, say hi, sit down for an initial reading. And again, since my partner Cynthia and I both specialize in metaphysical problem solving, if it's weird, bring it to us, and stop in at this wonderful shop and just take a look at the shinies, because it's always a good time to do that. So thanks so much for taking the time, and have a wonderful afternoon, Kalamazoo and beyond.